Welcome to Around the Blockchain, a very special content creator episode. We're going to be going over, is this the golden era of content creation, decentralized social media, and the growing pains yet to come? Great guest today. Let's get right into it. Leading the way, we have Crypto WendyO. She's in Ben's spot right now. Wendy, how are you doing? I heard you might be coming to Atlanta and shooting a special podcast. Is that true?
I will let my co-host announce that when he is ready, because I'm the star of the show.
Okay. Also, first time on ever, it is Candice. And Candice, how do I say your last name?
Horbacz. Thank you for having me.
Yay, and I thought it was plural, but I guess it's singular. I speak parcel tongue. Candice, welcome. Great to have you on. Can't wait to get into it. And then Ben Armstrong, I guess maybe you have a special announcement regarding a certain podcast. I've seen a set built out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, it's official. Me and Wendy are going to be doing a podcast together. It's going to be flying out here. You guys know I don't like Wendy at all. I make a lot of bad comments about her. There are reasons for that. That's why the show is going to be called the Forever Frenemy Show. So we're excited. The logo's great. Wait till you guys see it. It's going to be awesome.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. Go ahead.
I'm going to make Ben fly out to LA with his entourage, and we are going to absolutely break his ego. You guys are going to have to stay tuned for that. It is going to be the absolute most hilarious. It's going to be so funny.
It's going
to backfire on you.
All right. Is there a taco trip when he's in California?
Yes.
Okay.
If there's no lettuce and tomatoes on the taco. Thank you.
Or onions.
Or onion. Well, that's
extra onions.
All right. All right. Well, let's get into it. Are we in a golden era of content creation? We have a first-time guest, Candice. You have a little bit of a unique background. I'm checking out your Twitter. You're kind of getting into the long-form content. You got a lot of podcasts. You're doing the show today. What made you pivot into this style of content? Because we seem to be having a shrinking attention span, but there's still a yearning for long-term content. So what made you branch out in that direction?
Well, for me, it's just part of my values. I think that it's really difficult to understand people or difficult polarizing conversations when all you have are these really outrageous clips, and we kind of live in an outrage economy where people are trying to one up each other constantly. So I value the truth and curiosity and trying to, I guess, maybe undo narratives that maybe you have. And the only way to do that is to speak with someone for at least an hour. And sometimes the episodes will go to 3. But it's really hard to get into topics when you're just doing 30-minute episodes.
Well, you said people just looking for a reason to get outraged. Well, Ben, I have to bring it to you. You're no stranger to being clipped out of context. You're no stranger to being misrepresented. What do you do when you're in that position? What's a good strategy that you employ?
Well, you just keep being yourself. I think, it's like when we were going after Sam, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this new version of BitBoy is great. I've always been the same person. And that's the whole thing, is that there's been a lot of things that have been misconstrued about me over time. And that's really hard. Like, that's the thing that drove me crazy the most on social media, is that I was misportrayed so much. And everybody here at the office knows who I am. But yet people on Twitter, they have a really false idea. Some people have a really false idea of who we are and what we represent and what we stand for. So really, like, when it comes to content creators, I've kind of came up with this thing here. If you give me 1 second here, I can give exactly what it is. So the fact is that you're going to go through times where you're getting attacked all the time. And I've spoken to many people about this because a lot of content creators, they understand, especially in the world of crypto, nobody gets attacked more than me. Like, literally no one gets attacked more than me. And so on social media in the world of crypto, at one time it was Wendy, by the way. One time it was Wendy. She got attacked more than anybody, but I took the crown from her. I made the crown a little more masculine. I put some chicken wings coming out of it, as opposed to whatever it was that Wendy had in it, some jewels or something. And I've been attacked so much, but the thing that drove me crazy was when people would take things out of context. People saw that and they would message me and say, "Hey, I'm a content creator." I probably knew who they were. That's not what they would say. They'd say, "Hey, I know you deal with this. How do you deal with this?" And I kind of came up with this thing that's like, in the world of social media and content creation, when it comes to getting hate, you got to go through the 5 stages of grief. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. At first, you're like, oh, these people that I don't know why I'm being misconstrued. It'll go away. This is a problem that, you know, it's just for some reason, one person started this and now people believe it, but it's not true. Then you go through anger where you want to attack people all the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I certainly attack people sometimes back, but I do it more for fun than actually trying to defend myself, or because I don't like, I like for the right information to be out. So sometimes if someone says something wrong, like people still say I'm fat on social media, which is really funny because I've lost 60 pounds. And tomorrow or later tonight, I'll be posting my my benching 300 at below 200 pounds video that I just took today. But you get anger, you want to fire back at people, then you go through bargaining. It's kind of like this. Well, if I just change my content a little bit, if I just take a different route at this, then people won't hate me anymore and people will like me and it will be good if I just change. Then you go through depression where it's like, well, there's just nothing I can do. People hate me. Like, I'm always going to be misconstrued. And you have to move through all of these stages because you're going to encounter all 5 of them until you get to acceptance. And you finally just have to get to acceptance and say, look, there's bad people out there that want to throw you under the bus. And then you can't change people's opinion of you by a tweet. All you can do is just over time show them who you are. And hopefully some people will get it and hopefully some won't. I use Shil Nye is a guy from the last bull run who was very popular. And he actually goes by Function now on Twitter. He disappeared totally. And then he came back as a different brand and was Anon for a long time. Shil Nye got attacked. I mean, Wendy will tell you, like, there was a time where he was attacked as much as I am, if not more. And he disappeared and came back as a rebrand. And now people are still trying to push the same things that people turned on him for back in 2017 and 2018. But they fall on deaf ears because in crypto, we're in a really unique situation where 90% of the people every cycle are new. So there's nobody to help push that narrative of the things people didn't like about him back then. And so they die. So in crypto, eventually, as new people come in, you have the opportunity to change your brand or to rebrand or to just continue to push who you are. Eventually, people will get it.
One of my favorite things of crypto Twitter is like, hey, weren't you this guy? It reminds me of Crypto Whale, Randy. Shout out to Randy. Wendy, you were also misconstrued very, very recently with the Cardano ecosystem. Now, me and you, we've been talking about Cardano for a year and a half before there was any DeFi, before Zed, before SpaceBuds. There wasn't even an NFT. Just BJ talking about it was really not much more than a wallet. So I understand your knowledge about Cardano. Maybe I make fun of Charles Falcon sometimes. Maybe you poke fun at his last name, say Hoskoskinson or something. But
illegal.
Clearly,
can't do it. You can't. You literally cannot do it. It's so funny because I actually used to pay somebody to help me run my channel on YouTube. He would come do the timestamps on the Sunday live stream, and I'd pay him in Cardano. Like, I literally would pay him in Cardano because that's what he asked for. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying about that.
Now,
and
was your strategy was it a rebuttal? Was it a pivot? Or was it, Ben's advice, you just keep doing the same thing you're doing?
Honestly, like, I really appreciate what Ben said and how he talked about the stages of grief. Because no matter what you do, people are going to get mad at you. They're going to hate you. I've gone through, like, I got attacked like 2018. It was right before World CryptoCon of 2018. I think it was like October. I literally got attacked consistently, like every week, drug for days on end from 2018 to like 2020. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. People are going to have an opinion of you. And the people that already hate you, they're going to continue to hate you. Unless you get to sit down with them face to face and have a conversation with them, then you might be able to communicate with them a little bit better. And I've actually done that. Like, any event that I go to, I generally have somebody that comes up to me that's like, hey, I'm on Twitter, I'm so-and-so. And they generally apologize to me, except I did have one guy that tried to get in my face and I told him to get out of my face or else.
That was the same guy that got in my face. That was the same guy that got in my face.
Oh, no, that was at that. No, it was a different one. It was at Consensus of 2019 or something. But I don't let people get that close to me anyways. But people are going to get mad at you. They're not going to like you. They have these, like, because there's so much false information that gets pushed on. I think the worst part is seeing other large content creators continue to push out false information about you when they know that it's fake, but they're doing it because they're trying to build their brand or they're trying to get clicks. And every single person on the internet is making money, whether they're getting paid directly from a brand, whether it's monetization, whether they're getting donations. Everybody's getting paid. And honestly, I don't pay attention to other people's hustles. They can do whatever they want to do. But at the end of the day, I'm going to continue being me. I've always been very, very outspoken. And one of the things that I was taught growing up from my dad before he passed was always stick up for what you believe in and always continue to fight. And that's kind of the way that I am too. And plus, like, I had a really rough childhood and I was always kind of like fighting and trying to protect myself and whatnot. But people can continue to say what they're going to say. It doesn't matter. All that like, honestly, the best part about it is the more they talk about you, even if it's true, fake, good or bad, it's more interaction getting pushed towards your account. And then you're able to make more money. Like on YouTube, for example, if I make a video and somebody doesn't like it and they're like, oh my God, she said da, all these community members will flock to that video and they'll watch it. And guess what? I get paid more in YouTube monetization. So my whole thing is if you don't like somebody and you really want to participate in the cancel culture, the best way to do that is know this: silence equals death. So if you really don't like me, don't watch my stuff. If you don't like Ben, don't watch his stuff. If you don't like Candice, don't watch her stuff. Don't listen to it, because the more energy you put over there, you're just helping us get bigger and make money, which is kind of silly and ridiculous.
That's an interesting point. Now, Candice, what do you think about that as we get bigger and we kind of seem to be moving towards a cancel culture, but at the same time, silence equals death, to Wendy's point. So do you think that these two ideals will end up clashing where, maybe bad publicity is bad at some point, or is it still the old adage applies, no publicity is bad publicity?
Yeah, I think no publicity is definitely the worst outcome. I think all publicity is good at the end of the day. And unfortunately, a ton of people make their entire career off of grifting. So as long as you're existing, then you're kind of giving them content for their brand. Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's difficult because I'm always trying to decide how much engagement do I want to do with someone that I fundamentally oppose with, because I also had a rough childhood and have this fighting nature to me. So I constantly feel the need to defend or correct wrongs or to clarify, especially if someone's intentionally misrepresenting me. But then at the end of the day, I'm also giving them my traffic. So it's I don't know, how do you create that balance? And it's really difficult. It depends on my mood a lot of the time, honestly.
All right, I can relate with that one. Now, Ben Armstrong, let's talk a little decentralized social media. And I want to ask you this because you have had an account essentially stolen or hacked. I believe it was around 3.2 million on TikTok, and then just boom, account disappeared. Maybe some teenagers, maybe a government agent. Who knows? I don't know. I actually have a theory it might have been CCP and that was a false flag. But, that's we could talk about that after the show. But Ben, will decentralized media end up solving that issue? Or is it just going to be kind of like our discussion with Uniswap? There's still some level of centralization. And I think we just kind of saw it with the Daily Wire, even recently. Even though it might lean a certain direction, doesn't mean that you can't piss people off.
Yeah, I think the decentralized social media is the answer, but it's a long ways off. Look, there's no decentralized social media out there that is up to par with centralized social media. I would even go so far as to say there's no decentralized website that's up to par with any centralized website. I mean, outside of maybe the Space Jam website that exists still from 1995. The fact is, I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's a nostalgic throwback. I think it's actually down now. I think you can go to the Wayback Machine, but it was really cool. It was up, I think, until a few years ago. But the fact is that decentralized social media is still going to have some parameters, right? Like, you can't post child porn on social media, okay? If it's decentralized and anyone can post anything, then we're going to have things that go on there that can't be taken off. I don't know if you guys remember the story from several years ago where they found child porn on the Ethereum blockchain. And, it's just like we were talking this morning about Gavin Wood, and that there's a story out. There was a story that he wrote about pedophilia back a long time ago, and it is on decentralized social media. I can't remember what Block Bytes, can't remember what the name of the place is, but it's there forever now. It can't be purged. It can't be taken down. And I think when you look at NFTs, it's very interesting. I was having this conversation about NFTs with Serena, a girl I met who owned one of the art venues that we were doing our book tour at. And shout out to Serena. She was really cool. She said that, we were talking about NFTs and we were talking about copyright stuff. Like, if it's truly a decentralized platform and you can post NFTs anonymously, then that means that you could post any copyrighted image and make money off of it, or any copyrighted logo or whatever. But that's not going to happen because these companies like Nintendo are going to come after people. And they're going to make sure they're going to come after the platforms. They're going to threaten to sue the platforms, owners of the platforms, the foundation behind the platform, whatever it might be. Like there's Uniswap Labs, obviously, is kind of the foundation, so to speak, behind Uniswap. There has to be some level of centralization with anything. Like I always make this case, like someone, like even Bitcoin, as decentralized as it is, there still had to be one person who bought the domain. Or well, that's a bad example. Who came up with a name for Bitcoin, right? Came up with a name. Satoshi came up with a white paper. It wasn't created by the community. Now people would argue it was a conglomeration of cypherpunks together that were creating that. But when it comes to Uniswap, somebody had to buy the domain, right? Somebody had to buy Uniswap app.uniswap.io, whatever it is. Don't go to that. I don't know if that's the exact
URL. I think it's
Maybe
org. I'm not sure either. It's app.uniswap.
Right.
Yeah, check.
But whatever
check,
it
folks.
is,
Be careful.
Yeah, somebody had to come up with the idea for that, right? So on some level, there's always going to have to be some kind of centralization. The question is, what kind and to what extent of censorship are we going to see on decentralized social media? So I think pretty much the difference between centralized and decentralized social media will be centralized social media. There is one person behind a screen who's able to censor things because they have that power. With decentralized social media, the community will decide what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And then if someone has to be removed, it will probably be consensus vote. They'll probably have a vote to remove someone or whatever it might be for people that hold governance tokens or whatever. And then there again, you got to be careful about the centralization of the supply, right? You don't want one entity to have 51% of the supply and then you're right back in the same spot. So I think decentralized social media is going to look like this: setting parameters in the beginning and consensus from the active community and governance on if there's things that are questionable, gray areas, what decision is made on that. So I think that's what we're going to see.
All right. I think you did a really good job talking about the censorship there. Now, Wendy, I want to talk to you about the ownership portion, though, of decentralized social media. There does seem to be that, I think it's a given or it's an assumption that maybe decentralized social media, a little bit less censoring going to be happening, a little bit more censorship resistant there. But what about the ownership structure? Do you think that it's going to be more lenient towards you own the content, or maybe even by creating content, you own the platform? And is that a successful strategy? Can that beat YouTube being owned by Alphabet and then maybe having centralized leadership, maybe choose a little bit more of a cohesive path? Or can this decentralized structure compete and even beat the Google strategy?
It's actually a really good question. And the thought that I always go back to is operating in a true decentralized economy. What does that mean? Bitcoin maximalists will scream about, Bitcoin is the most decentralized cryptocurrency. And then Project X, Y, and Z will scream, well, we're the most decentralized cryptocurrency. Are they, though? It's just based on opinions. And to me, when we talk about operating in a true decentralized economy, that means that I cannot tell you what you get to say, and you don't get to tell me what I get to say. And then back to part of Ben's argument about certain things that pop up on some of these decentralized platforms, some of them are bad. Some of them are absolutely bad. I am not physically capable in operating in a 100% full true decentralized economy because there's certain things and beliefs that I have regarding protecting innocence that I just can't. I can't see. I can't even fathom that these things actually happen. So I think that it's going to be a process to get to where we need to get to. But another thing I think about too is maybe we'll just have AI write the type of code that is needed to create what you're explaining and talking about. And the reason why is when we talk about AI is a machine. It's not a human. It's not supposed to be biased. But then at the same time, when you look at an AI program, who created that? Who created the code? There always has to be a person at some point in any specific building, whether you're building a house, whether you're writing code, whatever it is you're building. So there might be some bias from that person. So I think we will eventually get there, but it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of trial and error. And also too, like a lot of these decentralized platforms that we have, they're not even really decentralized at all. And then back to Ben's argument about the governance aspect, like when we're talking about DAOs or using governance tokens, there's literally always people that have more than somebody else. And then that makes it kind of unfair. It really doesn't level the playing field out. Like earlier today, I think it was A16Z wanted to vote against Uniswap
B&B,
upgrading.
yeah.
against
BSC.
Binance Smart Chain, something like that. And they had a really big vote and a really big say in their VCs. We're essentially, like, if you're in crypto, you are essentially supposed to be fighting against the oppressors, fighting against a third party, saying F you, we don't want you in our industry. But then at the same time, in a true decentralized economy, you're not supposed to do that. I don't get to tell somebody that's got money, I don't want anything to do with you, even though those people don't care about us. But at the same time, we have this decentralized protocol and it's not working. It's not, because you got the people with a lot of tokens and a lot of money that are making decisions based off everybody. So I feel like we're probably going to see this happen in the next 5 to 10 years. But it's definitely going to be an uphill fight. And if you're watching this, stay diligent, because you don't want to get left behind and you want to make sure that your voice matters.
Yeah, it's like dark money and super PACs. And those who don't know, A16Z voted against the BSC upgrade made by this particular company. And then if you look beneath the surface, A16Z is invested in a competitor to who was going to do that bridge. So there's a little bit there. All right, now, Candice, what do you think is the missing ingredient for decentralized social media? Does it need a superstar like the Mr. Beast, the Nelk Boys, a Taylor Swift to make it, monetizable? Or does it need a monetization aspect? Does it need to, I make a video and I can make a little bit more money than YouTube. I release a song, I make a little bit more money than Spotify. What of those two attack angles is going to be, the one that maybe gets us there to the promised land?
I think it's gonna come down to principles. So some people are gonna value money more than their integrity, and then other people can maybe find a founder that they really get behind. So, for example, Minds, I know it's not entirely decentralized, but Bill Ottman is fantastic, and I totally agree with a lot of his ethos in truly censorship-free a censorship-free platform. So he still allows adult content. Most of the platforms that say that they're decentralized are still censoring that. So it's not that he's pushing for pornography, but he's saying that this is a First Amendment right that I want to give to my users. So I don't know what the missing link is for adoption rate. I think it's going to come down to big accounts that are finding people that agree with their principles and then following that. And then the money will come secondarily.
How do you think that big star is going to jump ship? Is it going to be like Ninja? He got paid by Microsoft, or will it be like Steve Will Do It? He was kicked off of YouTube. So will they be poached or will they be ostracized?
I think it'll be like a slow transition. So you'll have people maybe like Tim Pool, who has a huge account on Twitter, but then he also has an account on Minds and he's trying to push people there. Or Bridget Fedesi, who has a bigger account on Twitter, and it's just trying to push people to the platform that you believe in and just waiting and being patient.
All right. Well, let's get to the third topic here, the growing pains of the creator economy here. And Ben, this is kind of a little bit of an open-ended question. I'm almost scared to give you this question because you might run in a million directions here with this, but what do you love about being a content creator? And more importantly, what does BitBoy hate about being a content creator?
Yeah, I mean, I love what I do. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I've loved what I do since the very beginning. I mean, it was hard for me to be gone for 2.5 weeks on my book tour. Like, that was awesome. The book tour was great, but I miss my people. The community is the thing I love the most. I just remember, back in the day when I started this channel and nobody watched, I had 3 mods. I had 3 guys that were in my chat every single day. One was Ravi, one was Daniel. I can't remember the other guy's name. And none of the 3, I think, all these years later are still in my community. They're out doing other stuff or may not be in crypto anymore. I know Ravi's still around, but the fact is that those 3 guys, when I was only getting 10 to 20 viewers per live stream, they were there. And the community really helps to push you along in the beginning. Everybody's got a community. If you're in crypto or if you're a content creator, it may be small, but everybody's got that 1 or 2 or 3 people that you can count on every dime to be in there. And it's a really cool phenomenon. And so, like, now that I'm the size that I am, well, not physically the size I am, the channels and the followers are, I'm smaller than I was back then. But, the fact is that, now that I'm much, much bigger in followers and have a much bigger brand and, influence all over the board, it's like the community's still the most important thing. It's just grown and the people change over time. But that's what keeps you going. And that's like about our book. Like, that's one thing I love so much is the community has been out there giving reviews and like, they're awesome. The reviews on the book are great. And that's like a byproduct of not only the book is good, but also the community that we've grown and built. And that's the thing that people don't understand when they attack me or attack my brand, or they say things like, There was a guy who put this thing on Twitter the other day. He was like, I don't understand how BitBoy Crypto got so big. It doesn't make sense to me. Exactly. The fact it doesn't make sense to you is the reason I got so big, because I'm relatable to the average person. The guy that comes to my meetup, he's a normal guy. The girl that comes to my meetup, she's a normal girl, single mom, trying to make ends meet, trying to live in paycheck to paycheck, trying to get out of the rat race, just like I did. I wasn't a single parent, but you understand what I'm saying. I had a family. And so the fact is, people relate to that, and it's really cool to find how you build your community. I built my community of all regular folks, and it's really, really, really awesome. It keeps me going. The thing that I like the least about being a content creator, well, it's different for different content creators, because if you're the type of person that makes one video a week, you can, and it's scripted, you can really control what you say. Like Graham Stephan or Andre Sheik, I think they make 2 videos a week, and they script everything, and it's very, very, very polished and great. Everything's delivered well. They control
even Alex Becker. I would say Alex Becker, more off the cuff, but heavily edited. You could see, they removed this sentence, they removed this
every 6 months, I think.
Yeah, it feels like it. But yeah, a lot closer to one every 2 weeks, one every month.
Right. Unless people are live streaming, you don't. That's why, I was glad to see Coin Bureau finally start live streaming. Because it's like, you don't know what these people know and what they don't know unless they can say things off the cuff, right? So live streaming has been something that's allowed me to really open up the doors to who I am. However, the more words I say, the more words I have that can be criticized. And so over time, it's just by being a real person and regular and saying my opinion all the time, over time, I'm going to isolate people because I have different opinions than eventually I'm going to say an opinion that you disagree with. And it just depends on whether or not you're willing to overlook that or not. But I have so much stuff out there that people can go through. Here's a great, for instance, okay? Back in 2021, we loved FTT. We loved the token. We thought it was going to do really, really, really well, right? Because there was a reason. They had bought LedgerX, which LedgerX is being auctioned off to somebody else now. They bought LedgerX. This is a regulated derivatives trading platform in America. And I believe that they were going to take the FTT token. I mean, token's redundant, but the FTT token and turn into utility they were going to use with the leverage trading. Bybit has a coin, BitGet has a coin. Obviously, Binance has a coin. And I thought there was going to be utility. And guys, there was no reason in 2021 to think, unless you read the refinance article in March, that there was something wrong with FTX. I mean, I was always on the fence about them. I never had an account there, but everything looked very good and looked very healthy from the outside in without knowing the dirt that was going on behind the scenes. So, of course, we bought $500,000 worth of FTT in November of that year, and we thought it was one of our top 5 coins of the year for 2022. How ironic, right? Everything looked in line. When we go on our vendetta and when we sell all our Solana and all our FTT and we're done with them and we tell you what we've discovered, people go and show those other videos without context. Because I've created so many videos, you're always going to find something from me off the cuff saying something that may not line up with what I believe today about something. Having a much more information. So there's just so much to pick apart. People were sharing that video earlier, like, he's an FTT shill and blah, blah, blah. You don't show the video where we showed our portfolio and explained why people in September, I believe we made this video, in September, why people should sell their FTT and all their Solana. They don't show that. Yeah. And so it's a context thing. And that's really the thing that's why things get misconstrued a lot. Like they can misconstrue your character and that's opinion based. I mean, some people probably don't like me and they think X, Y, and Z about me. And, I can't change that. However, from a factual basis point, in fact, there's so much content out there to be picked apart. That's what is hard about being a content creator, is realizing when you change your opinion on something because you get new information, you're going to get attacked for it no matter what.
Yeah, 2 things to take away from there. One, it is thoughts in real time is how I like to say it. When you're doing all these long form contents, when you're doing podcasts, and I try to extend all the branch, even to the bankless. You never know. CoinDesk Podcast Network. I try to keep it universal here. Thoughts in real time can sometimes lead people astray. Maybe you change your mind. And also, Ben, you can never change your mind about a token. I'm still waiting for Namecoin to pop. You said it's the next. You said it's going to be the biggest thing. That's the Bitcoin Namecoin. So still waiting on that. Candice, what do you think is the biggest hurdle getting into content creation? A lot of people they're looking at it through the looking glass. They're scratching at the glass. They don't know how to get in. What's the number one thing stopping people?
I think that there's just too many decisions to be made up front, like what kind of content, what's authentic to me and my brand, what do I want my brand to be, what platforms do I wanna be on? I think you just kind of have to jump in and just start making content, start podcasting, start recording. I think we're all scared to look stupid, especially in the beginning, but I think what he was just describing is having a library full of content where you show your growing pains and you show the evolution of yourself, your brand, your ideas is so crucial for up and coming creators. So you can see that that's normal and that's okay. And no one is going to bat 1,000. No one is going to be a rock star right away. So it's okay to trip and fall and grow and be the learner. I think reframing that is really important. So it's just to understand that you're going to hone in on your brand the more and more that you're publishing. So you won't necessarily know from day one exactly what you're going to do. And maybe that evolves, a year later, but it's just to start recording.
Yeah, I always like to call that analysis paralysis. Oh, I need this camera.
Yeah.
We should go. Oh, let's do 2 days of meetings on the name. Just be action bias. Last question to you, Candice. Here, then I'm gonna cut to Wendy. Candice, are you worried about AI and authenticity when it comes to content creation? I'm seeing a lot of stuff where these AI algorithmic images are really tricking people. And do you think that's going to be an issue in the future?
I don't think it'll be an issue, but I think what's interesting is the ethics around it. So how do you have to disclose to the end user that it's AI generated, or do you own
Mm.
that loyalty to the creator? So I think that's interesting. Like if it's serving the creator, let's say for someone that's a model and you don't necessarily want to do photo shoots anymore. Maybe you just had a baby and you're like, okay, well, I can have AI generate this unique album for me and it's indistinguishable from me. Do I have to disclose that that's no longer me? Similar would be, especially now that we see with the Chat GPT, Tony Robbins is working on an AI of himself. That way, when he no longer is with us, that he has still a way to contribute and give back. So, do you have an obligation to say that this isn't me? Or because you are able to connect with your community at a deeper level by having something like AI, does that justify maybe more of that gray area of not being transparent? So I think the ethics around it is what interests me. I don't see it as competition or as a means of replacing the creators.
All right, 2 things on Tony Robbins. Great job on Shallow Hal. Tony, you did fantastic. Snub for the Oscars. And second, the strangest clapper you'll ever see in your life. I think he injured himself clapping so much at his events.
He's also very tall. He's also
very tall. Very tall.
Before
Giant
when he
head.
goes, can I make one
Yeah.
comment?
Mhm.
Because I just
I
always
didn't get
wanna
to
cut
talk.
somebody off.
Yeah, we're going to
You're
you, Wendy.
gonna get to talk.
You get the final say here.
Yeah, you'll be the final say, Wendy. I just wanted to say because it's very interesting. I was talking to somebody about AI today, and I think there's this idea because Chat GPT and all this stuff that AI is going to take over, and we're not going to need influencers and blah 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 blah. It's just very 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 fascinating to think about this. Here's what I would tell people is that think about how easy it would be to run pump and dumps with no faces attached to them. If you were running a channel that was AI, and think about how easily you could manipulate information by presenting it as AI, an AI channel that's not actually AI, that's input from someone, but you think it's AI because it says it's AI. So I would say this, like, think about this when it comes to, and I think Candice is dead on here, 100% what she said. When you think about this, what is more regulated? What will be more regulated over the next 10 years? Or throughout the history and the next 10 years? What's more regulated? People driving or AI self-driving cars? Which one's going to be more regulated? I think when you think about that, that will give you a clue about where this industry is going and why it will still need real people.
Yeah, I was driving around Atlanta and I saw many octogenarians. Definitely needed more regulation with their driving. We love our octogenarians. Candice, did you want to add something real quick?
No, I totally agree. I think that's a great analogy.
All right. And Wendy, I think there's no better week to ask you this question than there is right now. It's the same question I asked Ben. What do you love about being a content creator? And what do you hate about being, or what do you dislike about being a content creator?
I like for the first time in my life, I've been given a voice. I can voice my own opinion, my own concerns, and I don't have anybody telling me what to do. Yeah, I get a bunch of really terrible comments sometimes, which I was just responding to. And a lot of people that are uneducated and just refuse to do due diligence and don't like to take personal accountability for stuff, which is fine. But I like that I get to have a voice. Like if I have an opinion about something, I can say it. If I want to create content towards a specific audience group, people that grew up like me, like an underdog, people who grew up poor, people who grew up with strife, trauma, and issues, I get to make content for them. And kind of back to what Ben said. And actually, Ben and I had a phone call about this too. Like we work in crypto. We technically work in tech, right? We have all these people, they're like, oh, you're not smart enough, you're not this, you're not that, you shouldn't talk about crypto because you don't know how to code and blah 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 blah. The interesting thing about it is that I would safely say, and I probably bet my reputation on it, that about 70% of the world have no idea how tech works. They're not STEM people, they're not interested in technology, they're not interested in mathematics. And that's who I am. I'm part of that group. I'm part of that group. I'm part of the group that didn't grow up learning that focusing on technology, focusing on mathematics, focusing on, you know, working on for a tech company. I literally grew up and my mom's job was to make sure I went to school and then I came home, I ate dinner and I went to bed. That's all the support that I had growing up. And I feel like a lot of other people can relate to that. I was also another person that had to do a 9 to 5 and I worked in healthcare for 7 years. I had a really, really hard job. Managing patient care when you're dealing with infectious disease is hard. It's not an easy job. And big shout out to all the healthcare workers out there. But being able to have a voice and not have anybody tell me what I can and can't say, because I literally get to get on my channel. I get to say what I want to say. I get to raise awareness for specific things, mental health, DV, and other aspects. And the people that rock with me, they rock with me. Like my primary audience now, because we're in a bear market, are all people that respect me and support me. Of course, I get like the little stragglers that say, you know, whatever it is they have to say, which is funny to me because I literally I can tell like the alt accounts that these people have, I can tell who they are on all of my other social medias, like on the TikTok and the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram. It's literally the same person. And it's so bizarre to me, but that's like a whole nother thing. But being a content creator and getting to actually have a voice without nobody telling me what I can and can't say is probably the most liberating thing ever. And it's also important because I have a 6-year-old daughter. And part of why I stayed creating content, despite of all the terrible things people would say about me and the lies and the made up stuff, the threats I would get, the R and the D threats I would get, was that I have a 6-year-old daughter and I'm able to show her that you can do whatever it is you want to do. You just need to show up every single day. And if you're watching this and if there's something that you want to do that you want to work on and you're feeling a little bit unmotivated or that you can't do that, you can just keep showing up. Half of the battle is literally showing up. But when you go to college, if you show up to class, you get like participation points and I'm being serious with you. If you just show up, you'll get through it. The same with your 9 to 5. You just have to show up. And probably the thing that I don't necessarily like about content is I'm not the most tech savvy person. So sometimes I do struggle with OBS. Sometimes I do struggle with some of the tech aspects of it. But for the most part, I love my job. I love what I do. And I've actually been able to help a lot of people improve their quality of life. People that come from where I come from, that come from the streets, that come from, you know, being in not so fun situations and struggling with different things throughout their life. My audience gets it. And that's the type of people that I have around me supporting me and cheering for me because essentially I represent them. And it's just a really good feeling, especially when I get these messages like, thank you for reminding me to take profit. Thank you for regurgitating that information. I needed to. I actually had somebody message a fellow content creator of mine that this person, I think they just had their second baby and they were able to pay that hospital bill because they were trading and they were planning that they were going to have to pay X amount of dollars. And because they were aggressively taking profits, they were able to pay that bill. And they were also able to purchase a couple other things for their family. And that's what it's all about. It is all about using cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or NFTs to make as much money as possible, as ethical as possible. And that's why I love this industry. There's no real barriers. It's not that we're super, super early, but we're still in a place where anybody can find an opportunity. Like if you're good at X, take those skills and apply it to crypto. There's a lot of companies that are still hiring out there. And really at the end of the day, your destiny is whatever it is you make it. You just have to put yourself out there and show up.
All right, great. 2 things I want to share real quick. I, for one, cannot wait for that Frenemies episode. And if you haven't hit that like button, please go ahead. Second, I wanted to share Today's episode brought to you by BC Vault. You can store your crypto securely, and presend.io. Send it safely. But that is all we have time for. I think Ben was ready. Ben took that Fortnite and came back like he was on the battle bus. No, I'm not talking about Will's floating over Montana. Ben Armstrong, feel free, take it away. You end up winning your own show again. Oh, you're muted.
That's right. I got it. Don't worry. I won my own show, but like Wendy, I'm also not technically savvy. Look, here's the thing, guys. Candice, thank you so much for coming on the show. You add a lot of value here. I just want to say, Wendy's right. She got attacked so much when she started. And there's a reason why Wendy's the largest female content creator and I'm the largest male in America. Because we were forged in fire. And when you create content, be prepared to get pushback. You got to push through it, and it always makes you stronger. We get stronger every single day. So thank you, everybody. Make sure to go follow everybody's links in the description. Let's go.
All right. One ring to rule them all, or one bit squad to rule them all. Make sure you hit that like button. Until next time, easy out.